Hey there. As we continue to look at the Middle Ages, we want to look today at the economies of the Middle Ages, and we're focusing primarily in Europe, but there will be some mentions of some other economic activity around the globe during this time period. Remember that the economy is how you get your goods. It's the choices you make to get the goods and services that you need. And you're going to see during the Middle Ages, despite early Middle Ages, very localized, self-sufficient economies on the manor. As time goes, there will transition to trade, and with that, the new ideas that will flow will break free of some of the restraints of this time period, namely feudalism. So, looking at life on the manor, notice that it was harsh. Life on the manor was not easy. If you find a visual of the wheel of life for a peasant, I believe there's one in the book. We could definitely look one up online. You'll see that every month of the year has been dedicated towards a particular task on the manor, and at no time is there vacation time. There's no rest and relaxation. So it's a daily grind. The manor's going to be self-sufficient, self-contained, 20 families or so, 15 to 30 families or so, and they are all depending on one another. Included on the manor would be the house, the church, the manor house, the big house, if you will, the church, the workshops, cottages, also fields and pastures, any woods, perhaps a water source, a river, the village where the homes are, and even a mill to transition the crops into grain. Why is population going to increase during this time? Obviously, better farming techniques. We talked about warmer climate as we go forward through the years, transitioning through the Middle Ages, going to be more food, and the impacts are going to be demands for more goods, more trade, and as more goods become available, these communities are going to engage one another at trade fairs. People are going to recognize that they're good at certain types of tasks, and they find others who are like them. They're going to bond together in groups known as guilds. Think maybe precursors to what are labor unions today, where all the people of a certain skill or craft work together to benefit the production of their particular part in the economy. Also, on the negative side of things would be disease. And with disease, many peasants are not going to survive some of the epidemics, and with that, less peasants can demand higher pay, or perhaps just leave the manor altogether and head into town. Feudal lords, it says in the second bullet, manipulate the environment to boost incomes, and it gives you a list of things that they could do there. The reasons for this would be more production, getting rid of the impediments that keep you from farming that land, and giving more land and thus more power is going to create more money and a better position in the economy. It comes with a consequence, though. Obviously, when you start changing, just like we know today, ecosystems, the results in the end aren't always positive. Think about getting rid of natural filters like swamps, draining all the water out. The environment has nowhere to filter itself and run the dangerous chemicals perhaps that are being used to even increase production. There's nothing to handle water runoff and things of that nature. So other impacts would include things like conflict with nearby kingdoms, wanting to take their land to increase your power. Erosion, we've already talked about loss of habitat and the loss of those ecological filters. New and different farming techniques. We want to recognize inventions like the harness, allowing for the horse to replace the ox. Thus, cultivating is going to be faster, and there's going to be more of it, so you can handle bigger tracts of land. Also, we're going to talk in a few minutes about the three-field system, but just understand that there's going to be a need to have more cleared land, again impacting the physical geography there, and even changing the dynamics of the landscape. Terracing in communities where there's great slopes to the land definitely change how the physical geography is impacted by precipitation and such. So while it could bring about more food production, it could bring about some negative results. The agricultural revolution, again, big change, a second revolution, if you will, of the Middle Ages. Is going to see a transition from a 2-field to a 3-field system. So let's see how this works. You got 2 fields alternating with crop and without crop. Why would you do that? The field not being planted is allowed to recoup itself with nutrients. As they go to a 3-field system, a third field is going to be added into the rotation. So 2 fields will have crops in them, perhaps different crops on different cycles, and then a third field will then be left fallow or unplanted to recoup its nutrients. So that's again going to lead to more lands actually being needed for to produce the goods that the manor is capable of, the agricultural output. The impacts would be more food, better disease resistance, and of course you get to live longer, just a little bit probably. The enclosure movement here, notice that people are going to start recognizing that if land equals power, then sharing the land is a no-go. So enclosing your land, putting up fences, putting up boundaries between landowners is going to be more common. This is going to lead to more conflict, more war, if you will, between landowners, and their need for warriors or knights in this case is going to be more apparent. The immediate impact: people are going to start moving to town. You get kicked off the land. This isn't your land anymore. The strong will prosper and the weak will fall. The gap between the haves and the have-nots will grow even wider. Indirectly, impact is the system is really going to destroy itself. If this is a system based on loyalty, if this manorial system and acquisition of land equals power, then the growth of towns and expanded trade is really going to destroy that feudal system, because the people living in towns have nobody to be loyal to, and they are going to be questing political power eventually as middle classes grow. Population growth, it says, creates a need for more farmland and colonization. Reasons to add these new lands and new colonies: basically economic prosperity. It's the quest for power. The positives would be new ideas being traded and being moved around, productivity. The negatives would be cruelty. Some of the people at the bottom ends of the social structure are going to be treated in very harsh ways, and many of the people that will be interacted with, particularly in these colonies, are going to lose not only their lives, but definitely the way they have lived for perhaps even centuries. The manipulation, once again, of the physical geography is going to have negative impacts. New business practices will emerge in the Middle Ages as they transition into commercial revolution. You're going to see banks formed here. The economies are going to change from the barter system to currencies being used, and as that happens, you want a place to hold your currency. And just like we do in banks today, put your money in the bank so it's safe. So these banks will recognize that they can lend out the money that's staying there, not going anywhere, and that money can be paid back plus interest. This is going to allow for new businesses to be created and supported with acquisition of the capital needed. The economy gets even bigger, if you will. Partnerships, people coming into a community with one another and dividing up the tasks, dividing up the resources needed. And this is a positive because businesses can get bigger, but conflict is often likely when partners go into business together, even today. And then, of course, finally, the Bill of Exchange. This is going to be a record of the transaction. This is going to be coming out of the Middle Ages economies as we move forward. And this is think about a receipt, and this provides the accountability of the business there. Finally, it says an increase of trade and the growth of towns created a need for a banking system, and we've kind of already talked about that. But think about giving opportunity to access capital not on hand. Capital is one of the 4 factors of production. It's one of the things that you need to be able to produce goods and services. The others being resources, labor, and then entrepreneurship. It takes money to make money, and as long as the banks get paid back, this works. So you're going to see that taking shape as the economy start moving forward. Thank you.